Hello again. So we have here a question that is giving us information about an exponential situation and asking us to find the function that goes with it. So we have in 2006, 80 deer were introduced into a wildlife refuge. By 2012, the population had grown to 180 deer. The population was growing exponentially. Write an exponential function n of t representing the population n of deer over time t. It should say t in years. Okay. So in 2006, like they said, we put 80 deer here. That is our initial value. So that means I'm going to call 2006 my time equals 0. That's my starting time. And then 80 deers is my starting population. So that means the ordered pair 0, 80 is a point on our graph. All right, then we had by 2012, which is six years later, our population is 180 deer. So then this gives us a second point of after 6 years, there are 180 deer. We have 2 points. In the generic exponential function, there are 2 unknowns. If we have as many points as we have unknowns, we can solve. Math might get a little ugly, but we can do it. All right, so it always comes back to this exponential base function. What we're going to do is we're going to take our 2 points, plug each of them in there, and then we're going to end up with some equations that are in terms of A and B. We'll do some creative algebra, figure out what A is, figure out what B is. Here, the initial value will actually be A. So we're going to start with that guy. So f of equals A times B to the blank. So when I plug in 0, I get 80. That's what our initial point is telling us. When t is 0, the function equals 80. So you could write it like this, just equals 80, or that ordered pair is also telling us f of 0 equals 80. That's just another way to write a point using function notation. So in place of the f of 0, I can write 80 equals a times b to the 0. Anything to the 0 is 1. A times 1 is a. So we've already got one of the numbers. Ching! Now we just got to find the other one. So now we will use our second point. So this second point is telling us f of 6 equals 180. And we know our A now, so we may as well fill it in. 80 times B so this is 6. And then f of 6 is 180. And now we're just going to solve for B. So I divide by 80, sorry. I was already canceling out the tens, zeros in my head. So I have 180 over 80 equals b to the 6th. So when we want to cancel a weird exponent, we need to use a power that will So when we raise something that already has a power to another power, the powers are close enough to multiply. Haha, cheesy joke. So what I want to know is 6 times what number will equal 1? Because I want this to be b equals down here. And if there's no power, it's an invisible 1. So I want to figure out what power do I have to put here so it'll equal a 1. So 6 times 1/6. And then whatever I do on one side, I do on the other. So we're multiplying with the powers, but we're really raising it to that 1/6 exponent. So over here, that is going to be raised to the 1/6 power. The parentheses here are crucial. So here, though, don't use the fancy little fraction button. It might work on some of the calculators. Other calculators, though, don't know how to handle the fancy looking fractions inside the exponent. It just kind of freaks it out. All right, so I start with the 180 over 80, and that's in its own set, which turns out that's 2.25, cool. Raised to the, and my calculator opens a parenthesis, and now I type 1 divided by 6, and I get a very disgusting looking 1.14471, blah, blah, blah. So our final step is to actually write the function. I have something A equals, I have something B equals, so I can actually answer the question. F of t is going to be 80 times 1.14471, however many places you want. You know how web work is, to the t. So the 80 is exact because they gave us that number, but the b value, just write however many sounds good. Now, this is the kind of question I've seen sometimes in chemistry where they give you like a half-life question. So, but first, we have 2 points that we know are on this exponential function, but neither point is the initial value. So we're going to have to use our base function, put both of those points in there, and do a lot of math to get A and B. All right, so let's dig in. So -2/6 is telling us f of -2 equals 6. And then the other one is telling us f of 2 equals 1, with f of t being a times b to the t. All right, so f of -2 equals a times b to the -2. And then f of -2 is 6. So I have 6 equals a times b to the -2. I'm going to put that on pause, come over here, work out the other one. F of +2 would be a times b squared. So I have 1 equals a times b squared. Okay, so I want to take one of these formulas, math it around, and plug into the other one. I have 2 equations, 2 unknowns. This is solvable. Now, which way you go, like, totally doesn't matter. A lot of people hate looking at negative exponents, so a negative exponent is a floor change. So this guy is living on the ground floor. He doesn't like it. So to make him positive again, we're going to dig him a basement. So this is actually equal to a over b to the +2. And then I could multiply both sides by b squared. So I have 6b b squared equals a. Since our a and our b can't be 0, I can multiply and divide by them. So now I'm going to take this substitution and put it in place of a. So this is 6b squared, and then the b squared, and the 1 equals. All right, so the 6 times b squared, I can regroup this and multiply the b's. So I have 1 equals 6 b to the 4th. Divide both sides by 6. So b to the 4th power equals 1/6. And then to cancel out the 4th, we would multiply 4 by 1/4. So that is what we will do on the other side. And again, plenty of parentheses. So our b value is then open 1 divided by 6, close, raised to the opens 1/4, close. All right, so our b value is 0.6388943, blah, blah, blah. So I have a b value. Remember when we made that substitution for a? That's where we go now with this. So I'm just going to kind of like mark in there. This went over here. Now we're coming back. So a is 6 times that whole crazy number we just got. Squared. All right, so I'm going to put squared, close it, times 6. So my a value is 2.449489, whatever. So final answer then, f of t is a value 2.449489 times 0.638943 raised to the t. Now it is possible if WebWork asks this, it might want it in terms of x. It must tell you. So it'll probably be like f of t or a of t, or it might be like p of x. You know how WebWork is. So it is a fair amount of work. It's kind of crazy, but it's doable. And then this one here, just to be perverse, they're like, do the same thing with a graph. Thanks. The good news is our initial value is right here. That is the 0.03. So now we just want to pick another point that looks like it's going through the crosshair. Now the 1.5 and 9 like looks close, but I would say the 2 and the 12 looks closer, and 2 is a whole number. So we're going to assume it goes through those 2 points, and then we're going to follow the exact same process we did before. All right, so f of 0 equals a times b to the 0. F of 0 equals 3, so our a value is 3. Yay for given initial values. And if you just want to skip it to be like, oh, this means a equals 3, like I'm fine with that. All right, now f of 2 equals 3 times b squared, f of 2 being 12, And now we're just going to use our normal algebra skills to solve. Divide by 3. So we get 4. And b squared, and we know how to cancel out squares. We square root. Now here, we are applying a square root. We consider the plus or minus. B is not allowed to be negative for an exponential function. So we can throw out the negative. Our only answer here is positive. So we have that plus or minus, and then we go, no, this only. That I did not mean that. So B is 2. So, oops, sorry. The graph actually used x. So just going to change the variable here to x equals 3 times 2 to the x. All right. So 3 of those back to back. Not too bad. We got compound interest formula coming up. But I'll stop this one here.